Bill is with us here, so let's get with him. Hi, Bill. Conversing about these college coaches that are showing interest, or at least rumored to show interest in the NFL. And for me, man, I mean, you look at Dan Mullen, at Pat Fitzgerald, Matt Campbell. Urban Meyer, though, is in a category all by himself, because for me, it's not a matter of, well, he doesn't want to have, he doesn't want to go back to college because you don't have the full control. Perhaps that's the thing. For Urban, it's more about health than anything else. I mean, who can forget the images of him doubled over in pain just a couple of years ago? And it's not like the NFL doesn't have enough pressure.
Well, yeah, with him, it's that mass in his brain, which is under control, but when he gets emotional, it acts up on him. That's the science there, and he's been feeling so good the last couple of years sitting out. I don't know what'll happen, but look, when it comes to these coaches and these rumors, this is good PR. Having your name out there, if you have no intention, and I think in some of these cases they probably have no intention, but having your name out there with pro possibilities ups your resume. I mean, it's just smart PR. It's smart marketing when you've got an agent and you're synced up with that agent and they've got your name out there. This is a bunch of PR theatrics. I don't even pay attention to it, typically.
Do you think that there's truth in the idea of Dan Mullen trying to escape the show cause and the other violations or penalties that have been imposed on the Florida football program by potentially jumping to the NFL? Because those rumors have come out in the last couple of days, and I see where you're coming from too. I mean, agents put their clients' names out there for marketing purposes. With Mullen, though, it feels different.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that with Mullen. I don't know he's trying to escape anything. He's got a fantastic job. Now, they've got some roster transformation that's going to take a little time because they're losing a ton, and they haven't recruited great. They've recruited pretty good, but not Florida great. So that's an issue, but I don't think so. I don't think anything's going on with him and some kind of impending doom with the NCAA. I don't hear that.
Okay, well, let's get into this college football championship if it is played on Monday, which, as of right now, signs are pointing that it's going to. Is there anything you saw in Ohio State's win that makes you think that they can either slow down Alabama or keep up with them offensively?
Yeah, I think it's more keep up, and they showed a lot of that. I'll tell you a couple things. Having Chris Olave back, who had to sit out with the long Big Ten protocol, the domino effect at receiver is massive with him. And they have other weapons, tight ends that emerged, freshman Wilson, true sophomore Wilson, who's out of Texas, a 5-star, who's had a really good year too. But Trey Sermon at running back. Here's a kid, he's out of Marietta. He played most of his career at Oklahoma, blew his knee, rushed for a bunch of yards there, transferred, and really didn't get a lot of love this year prior because Master Teague, the kid who's from right here, was their starting running back. And last couple of games, Northwestern game, let's say, this kid, in basketball terms, he's got the hot hand. He's running up and down the field. I think that balance offensively for them is something they did not have at their disposal to the level they have now. So Alabama's got their hands full here, and vice versa.
Bill King joining us here on Halftime. Bill, let's keep with this national championship just for a second with a couple things I've got for you. Who do you think is going to perform better in this national title game, Justin Fields or Mac Jones?
Jalen Waddle. How about that? Don't know if Jalen's going to play, but he's been freed up apparently. Well, they're so different. That's a tough one because Fields is a dual threat, and he's truly a dual threat, and he weighs 230 pounds, and he has a big arm. He's got everything. So he's got more weapons in his holster, meaning just individually, than Mac Jones has. Mac Jones probably has a couple more weapons to get the ball to, though. So that's going to be an interesting one. I'd say the sexy stat sheet, if that's what you're looking at, though, probably because of the ability to run, would go to Fields.
In your mind, when you look at it, I guarantee if you, particularly all of us, just because we're SEC fans and how we want to go about this, but most everybody, probably including myself, we're going to pick the Crimson Tide to win this thing. But in your mind, what needs to happen to get Ohio State the win? Not necessarily like Phil said to keep up and try to keep it close. in your mind, what needs to happen to get Ohio State the national championship?
If you could look at the stat sheet before the game, they said, I won't give you the score, but I'll give you the stat sheet. And try and find clues there. It's going to be turnovers. And, again, that's a boring answer. It's a terrible, boring answer, but it's true. That's the key there. They get some cheap ones, and God knows what could happen. I mean, it could be an Ohio State W for sure. They've got the weapons. They played better defensively. Their secondary is not very good. You can't replace a guy like Jeffrey Okuda, who they lost the cornerback to the first round in this last draft. So they're very vulnerable there, but they play with a lot of confidence. Those linebackers have been a liability, too, prior, and they played terrific against Clemson.
It's going to be interesting to see how this thing plays out. Last thing before I get it back over to Phil, obviously Devonte Smith winning the Heisman Trophy last night for the Crimson Tide, the first receiver to do it since 91. But we talked earlier, it almost seems like sometimes with these receivers, excuse me, not receivers, the Heisman Trophy winners, sometimes they don't necessarily play up to par the games after they win the Heisman Trophy. And I feel like that could be true to an extent, but I don't see Devonte Smith having a weak game at all against that Ohio State defense heading into the national championship game.
No. Devonte Smith, even though he was recruited highly, committed to Georgia, actually. It's out of Amite, Louisiana. And Mark Richt got fired, and the assistant who was recruiting him, that changed things. And Alabama got in there. But he was a skinny kid. Even though he was highly rated, they told him he probably wouldn't be, particularly at a place like Alabama with all the receivers. This kid's been told, even though, again, he was highly recruited, you're not going to get that far. Also remember this. Before Jalen Waddle went down in the Tennessee game on the opening kickoff with that ankle, Jalen Waddle was the star, not Smitty. So I don't think this guy ever gets complacent. I think this guy is hungry. He stays hungry. And if Waddle's back out there, which we don't know just because he's at practice, and he is anywhere close to what he typically is, God help that Ohio State defense. That's going to be interesting.
Well, but you bring up Jalen Waddle a couple of times, and I'll kind of throw this in there real quick. What can Jalen Waddle bring to the table? I mean, the injury that he suffered against Tennessee was just one of the gruesome things we've seen. But if he's healthy, obviously he can make a little bit of a difference. But what realistically could we expect from him if he's cleared and good to go on Monday?
Well, now is what we don't know is what level of Jalen Waddle good to go is it. 80% of him is probably better than almost anybody else. He's the fastest, most explosive ball in hands guy in college football. It's not even a debate. If he's that, you can do anything with him. You can run him deep and get behind secondaries. You can run him on reverses. You can run him, on button hooks. You can do anything with him if he's that. Now, it's hard to think that he's going to be Superman right out of the chute. But again, from what I understand medically, he's way ahead of the typical recovery for that kind of ankle injury. Most everybody else wouldn't even be running around practicing right now. So this kid apparently heals at a miraculous rate, just like he runs at a miraculous rate.
Bill, did you see the Pro Football Hall of Fame finalists are out? And I think it would be apropos if Peyton Manning and Charles Woodson go into Canton together. Because doesn't that make sense? Wouldn't that work well?
I didn't even know that, but that would be. I don't know if you get a lot of mileage out of it because there's really no, emotional. But here in Nashville, oh God, we could fight that one every day.
I think you would. Give a quick thought on Arkansas-Tennessee basketball tonight. Tennessee, best defensive team in the country, scoring defense. Arkansas coming off a game where they shot 26%. What do you think? I'm assuming you'll have your eyes on this one. What do you have any thoughts on Arkansas versus Tennessee?
Yeah, Tennessee is ultra loaded. Not really. I don't think they have a true point guard that they can depend on. Although they get by there and they have a couple of 5-stars that come off the bench, so they can be mightily explosive. The Alabama game, and I didn't get to watch it. I was watching everything else. I didn't understand that one. I did not see that one coming. Losing to Alabama the way they did is a little bit of a concern. But if it comes down to talent, I mean, I think Tennessee's got the most Kentucky has won now 2 straight SEC games, and they had to fight and claw to do it. They still don't look like Kentucky we're used to.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, we know Auburn's not in the mix. So now that'll be interesting. I certainly, if they play like they did against Alabama, absolutely give Arkansas a shot.
Hey, Bill, appreciate you, man. We'll be talking about, hopefully,
Thanks,
a national
Bill.
champion next Wednesday.
Appreciate it.
It's Bill King. He is on the air every Monday through Friday on Nashville Sports Radio from 6 to 9, and we always appreciate his thoughts. He is the king of college football talk. Don't forget, if you own a business that needs more security or more curb appeal, get a hold of the Fence Man, because they specialize in custom installations, and nobody does it any better because the Fence Man's been doing it for over 40 years. Gates, controlled access card readers, and much more. That's the Fence Man at 479-782-3936. Give him a call. They'll be over for a quick, no obligations quote. And the Fence Man is a division of Quantum Property Services. Okay, we can wrap the show up after the break. And it is Change My Mind. Don't go anywhere.